One of the best ways to get into business is to start an online business because it requires the least amount of capital. Now, there are other businesses that I've started that are not online with zero funds out of my own pocket. I've raised capital for not only real estate deals, but also businesses and ventures that I've raised capital for without even lifting a laptop or typing in a button on a keyboard. But the reality is how to do that. So today, we're just going to go deeper into how often do businesses fail. And this is statistics from the US Bureau, okay, the BLS. All right, so here we have a general rule of thumb of 20, 50, 70 rule. Roughly 20% fail in the first year, 50% fail by the 5th year, and 70 fail by the 10th year. So now we're gonna get into what failure is, because we'll get into that, what failure is, because people have different views of what failure could be. So let's go into it. Data on new businesses show a steady attrition rate rather than a sudden drop off. So we have 20% of businesses fail in the first year, second year 30%, 50%, right? 10 by year 10, businesses fail, and 75. Now the reality is, as we've seen, most companies actually don't make it to 100 years. If your company has hit 100 years, man, you better pay attention to what they're doing. We're looking at businesses like Disney, Coca-Cola, and there's more, but those are the only two I could think of at the moment, right? Maybe even Ford. But there's only a few companies that have gotten to that 100-year mark, and there's a bunch more that are at the 5-year mark. And some don't even make it that long because they just fail faster. Now, there's things that we can identify that small startups do really well, and especially lean startups, and with little capital, compared to larger companies who take a little bit longer to move and change direction, but yet they have a bigger balance sheet. So what is it that keeps these businesses going? So let's go into it. Small business versus high growth startups, right? So it's important to distinguish that traditional small business, like a restaurant, a consulting firm, a local shop, a startup company designed for rapid growth, often tech focused or venture backed, are very different, right? So small businesses that follow this model, this 50% off, 50% after 5 years, okay? These are gonna be like maybe your small shops. Now today, I was actually having this conversation recently, but today we don't really see these small businesses. Being here in Uganda, there's small business everywhere, like physical small businesses from little markets, barbershops, salons. I mean, I can go on and on, hardware stores. There are less of the big brand stores than there is a small business owner. But however, in the United States, for example, there are so many big chains and franchises that rule and control compared to the small business owner. And a big shift has happened. A lot of people who have been in the small business have been gone out of business and gone back into the employment force. And then other people now, because of the market conditions and also because of technology and now AI, is now removing a lot of jobs where people either have to skill up or they skill out or they go back into the workforce and try to figure out how to get a job or start their own gig. So we're seeing that employment has shifted and there's a lot of changes in employment. So how is that going to impact and affect the future? Well, I see it as a lot of people now are trying to get more self-employed. Maybe it's like a wake-up call that they lost their job, maybe due to technology or AI, and now they are moving online, but now they got to get creative. What are they going to offer? Maybe, you'll see people doing all kinds of things. Maybe they'll take a flask and start designing it and painting it from home. They've always loved to be painting and they start selling these things. Maybe for example, like my daughter, maybe you've seen the other video about this. I'll post it here in the notes or something. But my daughter recently started a shea butter. This one's empty, but she started a shea butter company, and shea butter is very common here in Uganda. And we got the materials, we got the containers, we're doing the labeling, and she does all this, basically filling the containers by hand with her siblings and marketing it and getting it out there. And we have orders, actually 2 orders just came in this morning. Actually it's 4 orders and more is coming. So, but that's more common where people are now selling things online and word of mouth than opening up a small shop, especially in the United States. It's a much more common thing. But if you're wondering or maybe lost, confused, not sure what to do next, maybe you're in this position. Maybe you have lost your job and not sure what to do and have skills and talents, maybe even from a previous employment, maybe even from a degree that you have and you haven't really flexed your degree, right? So maybe you have a degree in an industry that you always enjoyed, never really got hired to do it, but now you're thinking, well, how am I going to make money with this degree? Now's the perfect time, because now you can take that skill and make money online by sharing the knowledge that you have. So you take a mixture of the knowledge with your degree, maybe the experience you have in the workforce, bring them together, or you can even just take your knowledge from your workplace that you've done, maybe for a period of time, period of years in a certain industry. You can also bring that online. Let me tell you, you can even do something like I said, maybe you're good in art, maybe there's something you're really skilled at, you enjoy doing as a hobby, and you want to make money from it. I'll give you another example. Check this out. These are coasters, right? This is like a story here in Uganda. I call it my local personal success stories, okay? So this is a coaster. It's made out of like a hard clay. It's heated and then painted. So you can see this is actually first, not just painted, but it's first drawn in. So there's actually like grooves in this, and then it's painted, okay? And they're coasters. And I have a stack, I think, of 8 of them. They're really well done and made. Well, at first, the person was just creating one of these and selling them one at a time, different colors, and it was unorganized. And I told the artist, I said, listen, why don't you first color them, do themes, don't make them all random colors. Do themes, do blues, reds, yellows, blacks, and then stack them together, sell them in a bundle. And ironically, the artist was thinking, is people going to pay for more than one, right? When did they just buy one for like 1,000 shillings or 2,000 shillings? And I was like, actually, people would buy a pack or a bundle and say, listen, I'm going to be your first customer. I'm going to be your first customer. So I said, go make a bunch, theme them, and do them blue and put them in a stack. Well, guess what? They went out, did exactly what I said, and now they sell stacks of them in 6 or 8, and I think 10. And they make more money now because they've repositioned their product and they've stacked on the offer, they stacked on the value, and they're able to make more money. Instead of selling it by the piece, you sell it in bulk and you make more money. So even if you're an artist, you can make money online. So by the way, one last thing is, how do they make this money? Yeah, at first they were selling it just at their local shop. So you needed foot traffic. You need that foot traffic to go through. But I said, no, just post these on TikTok. And actually what you do is you film the work that you're doing. You show people the work you're doing as you do it, and paint it and all that, so people can see that you're producing, and then let orders come in. And that's exactly what's happened. They took that business right online. So that's another way to make money online and to grow your business, is to take what you know in your skill, even in production, and put it online so people can see, and then it will create demand. You'd be pretty surprised at what happens. All right, so let's get back into the statistics, the boring stuff, okay? Just about failure rate, and I'm just gonna wrap it up with this, okay? So basically, not all industries carry the same risk. Some are in the essential services. They tend to survive longer. Okay, what are essential services, right? Healthcare, social assistance, agricultural services, construction, right? Hardware, transportation and warehousing. All right. And information tech has a high risk because that changes so rapidly. So let's just take like healthcare. Everybody needs it. It's a common thing. Like here, pharmacies are everywhere, right? It's just a common thing. It's very low risk because everybody needs it all the time. So the more essential services or essential products that people would buy, that has a very low risk. And the more hot trending, maybe invention is going to have more high risk as a business because maybe it's new and no one's using it yet. Maybe it's just not a lot of people are learning about it. I mean, think about this. I remember the day where people had to sell, like literally sell the concept of owning a cell phone. I mean, think about that for a second. There was a time in life where there were salespeople to like sell the idea of owning a cell phone. People would walk into a shop and be like, you know, I heard about this and tell me about it. Like, how does it work? And how far is it going to go? And all that stuff. These salespeople had to overcome that curve, like the importance of having a mobile phone, right? Think about that. There was a time where people struggled with buying a cell phone and finding to justify the cause and the price. So think about that is a new and trending technology that has higher risk. Luckily, those in the cell phone world have been very successful. However, they're not always like that. There's a lot of people who come out with high-tech items. I could think from years ago, there was an aviation company called Icon who created like the first I think it was electric helicopter. No, let me repeat that. The first, and I don't even want to say the first. Let's just put it this way. Icon was actually, you know what? Let's do it together. This business right here was one of the first flying aircrafts that I ever saw, and they put their aircraft at the JFK airport inside a big, terminal, and people were walking around it, taking photos. And this aircraft has changed over the years. It hasn't always been the same. Like, they have it now landing on water, they have it landing on the ground and on water. So the wings are coming in, and it's like a sports craft. You don't need a pilot's license. And I even wonder what the price is these days. I haven't seen this, and I haven't been on this website in over 10 years. So first you have to do now a flight demo. You have to try it out and check it out. I don't even know if the prices are here anymore. But this was a very risky startup, right? This was a very risky startup. And now you see the competition has grown immensely. We're seeing now other guys like Honda and other businesses getting involved in this industry. So I digress. I don't want to go too far into this, but my point is that if you're in a new technology, you might not have a lot of customers. So it's very niched and it may not go very far. It might even fail. How you avoid and get out of that failure, you can test your ideas a lot faster with online business. You can also test your ideas for your skill that you want to share, your knowledge, your experience. You can test it and see where markets are, and you can see what people need in the marketplace. So I want to give you one last tip. So I want to give you one last tool that is really good to help you identify what people are looking for, what people need. So let's just take this. It's called Answer the Public. Answer the Public, I'll put the link in the description, is a great way to help people, overcome their challenges. Let's just do this really quick, okay? Let's do how to sell my art online, okay? Okay, so let's just do that really quick and get some ideas. Oops, that's not correct. Hold on. Okay, I think my keyboard is broken. It keeps correcting itself. All right, so let's look at some ideas. And by the way, this is like the free version. This thing gets on my other account, my business account, I have the paid version. And this is really a really great tool to help you identify what people are looking for. So if you're in the business of maybe, like even yourself, you're trying to figure out how could I help people get their art online? Maybe you're an artist and you've sold your stuff online before and you want to teach other people how to do that. You can see what's actually happening. So, and maybe you can see social media tags, you can see search engines. People are looking up how to sell my art online for free. How to sell my art online for free. Wow, that's pretty common. How to sell my art online in India, in the UK, how to sell my art for money. You can see people, you can actually break it down. When you have a paid account, it'll show you volume and CPC. But now watch this. Here are other categories that you can see what people are asking right here. So what is the 70-30 rule in art? How to sell my art for the first time? How do I sell my art, right? How much should I sell my art for beginners, right? So there's all these kinds of answers that people are asking from Google. And you can also see prompts that are best platforms to sell my art for beginners. How to price my artwork online for sales, right? So these are a tool that you can use. And now of course it has AI built in, where you can see the volume of search, what people are searching for, create content and strategies or solutions for that audience to help them become better, and they see you as an authority, and then you make money as you provide either more content and training for them or services on your side. So this is a much more reliable way to reduce risk if you're looking to break into an industry and start something new and see if there's an audience for the business or idea, a concept that you have. So test out these tools. If you find it helpful, let me know. And you can also put your questions and comments in the comment section. All right, I'll see you in the next one.